Why does it seem like people want to humble physicians and scientists? Speaking as a non-MD healthcare worker, it's good for them. Doctors are more educated than the rest of us, but they are just as prone to blind spots, logical fallacies, bias, and plain old brain farts as anybody else. Medicine is practiced in teams of doctors and nurses and radiology and pathology and pharmacy and everybody else so that we can catch each other's mistakes, including mistakes by physicians. On a more systemic level, the practice of medicine has issues. There are doctors still practicing today who learned in medical school that black people don't feel as much pain as white people. Very few medical schools today require medical students to learn about LGBT medicine, or even, what LGBT people are. You would not believe how many times I've had to explain to physicians what being trans is. Medical studies overwhelmingly sample young, healthy middle-class white guys, and their data does not always map perfectly onto other demographics. These stories about women being told they have anxiety, and then dying of cancer are cautionary tales meant to force the medical profession to be better. To put it a bit facetiously, dunking on doctors when they fuck up is for patient health. Pray that you never end up with a chronic condition that puts you in contact with medical ineptitude on a near-monthly basis. That's the position I find myself in, and it is incredibly frustrating to watch doctors condescend to me about my condition despite having less education on the topic than I do. Don't get me wrong, I listen to the trained specialists, but the simple fact of the matter is that the average ER doctor or MD does not know as much about my condition as I do, having lived with it for 15 years. They even struggle with some of the most basic information at times. Do such physicians need to be humbled? Yes, they do, and preferably before they put patients in real danger. Everyone has encountered a doctor that doesn't want to believe a patient's symptoms or thinks they can't be trusted to tell the truth. You throw in a social awkwardness and it comes across as arrogance. Because there's a current anti-intellectualism movement driven by social and political factors. Because my physical well-being is at stake when they don't know what they are doing, and I have had doctors give me straight-up wrong or outdated information. So yes, if I have doubts, I will speak up. Non-experts of any given field are quite literally incapable of understanding how much less they know about that field than experts do, because to understand how much they don't know would require having exactly the knowledge they lack. It's the Dunning-Kruger effect. I hate people getting snippy about DRS looking stuff up. Do you want them to just assume they remember everything ever about medicinal studies, etc.? Good DRS look stuff up and are able to tell what information is most applicable to the situation at hand, especially given how quickly medical research develops. I appreciate my many doctors taking time to check their prior knowledge to best help me. Stems from years of propaganda in social media that tries to cause Americans to lose faith in our institutions. It's docs, academia, government employees, election officials, law enforcement, FBI, etc. It's a confirmed and overt tactic used by Russia and China to sow the seeds of discontent here in the US. You've apparently haven't seen many interactions between customers and tradesmen. The average person has no idea just how vast the gulf is between their knowledge and that of a doctor and scientist. They don't know what they don't know and can't accept that too. When scientists and doctors screw up, it can have a very high cost, so some people have an ace to grind. People belittle nurses and tradesmen constantly. WTF do you mean? It is the authority. People hate authority figures, but most know they can't beat it regularly. Dumb quarterbacks. I could have thrown that past stupid cops. They couldn't see that he had no gun. I found my cancer. That doctor didn't listen to anything I said. Society and cultural norms limit retaliatory talk. The quarterback would lose fans if he made each commentator and fan go through 7 days of rigorous practice and play at the game intensity he plays on national TV and say yeah ain't so easy to make that pass. The officer cannot strap a weapon to a civilian, recreate months of dangerous situations and behavior he successfully navigated before an error was made. Public would be appalled. The doctor can't say, "Oh, you did a great job." Now see these 2,030 people daily in an office with limited resources adhering to patient insurance policies and budgets, and don't miss anything. It is lonely at the top for a reason. Critics come with authority and leadership. Don't see it as hate but proof you have made it to the top. Just do your best. Listen to some Jay-Z. Brush those vocal haters off the shoulders. Most people feel inadequate when faced with higher intellect. They want to feel like they or their tribe has that too. It's just that tribal basic behavior. It's also anti-science and truth. Remember their alternate facts nonsense? The reality is that people know their own body better than anybody else. And it's hard to take a doctor's advice seriously when they make you wait 45 minutes just to storm in and ask a few questions and leave after 10 minutes, leaving you with a 100 tab after insurance. Also, they are just better at treating some conditions than others, and if after many visits they haven't found a solution, then there's not much reason to hold them in high regard. Sure, they might help other people, but that doesn't do you any good. I've gone to multiple doctors and been on a half-dozen different medications for a condition, and the results have been mediocre. Severe side effects with only marginal benefits, and even after 6 months my doctor wanted to be in a wait-and-see mode even though I was telling her that it wasn't working. It's hard to keep the faith when nothing they're doing helps you. The scientist thing I haven't heard from anyone other than religious people, but the doctor thing, yes. I think it's that medical care is just so important and ubiquitous to everyday life that the likelihood of meeting a doctor that doesn't do their job like they give enough of AF is higher than when you deal with other professionals. Many people also don't have time choice to choose doctors, and there's that strain on the relationship too. When it comes to other types of professionals, you have more time and flexibility to choose. I've never heard of that. Must be a millennial or Zoomer thing? I mean, yeah, doctors don't always diagnose correctly, but pointing that out isn't belittling. After you convince people that doctors and scientists have no authority, a trusted strawman with no scientific credibility, whom you will be taught to look to for all your answers, will be glad to have that glory and lead your people without having to deal with scientific fact or logic. Now, inject this bleach. Know what I mean, butterbean. Ooh, because my doctor felt my tumors and told me I was probably just drinking too much caffeine. By the time I finally got diagnosed by someone who actually took me seriously, I was stage Roman 4, because a cardiologist put me on drugs that made me suicidal and suggested I keep taking them after I explained how they were making me feel. Doctors are idiots just like the rest of us. Why? Because truly dumb people are the ones who don't even know how much they don't know. On a societal level, PhDs are seen as authorities on certain things and therefore will have a contingent of people who want to undermine them, because of that alone. On a personal level, some people have issues with their own ego and feel threatened by someone who has education as part of their name. On the other side, some people with education are used to being treated as authorities when they talk and are prone to letting their perceived areas of expertise creep outward. Both lead to instances where laypeople may, rightly or not, seem a bit eager to shut down a scientist when they make a statement on something.